Hello everyone and welcome to Leggings 101. Today we're going to be giving you all of the tips and tricks to decide on which leggings are going to be best for your body type and your preferences. I do consider myself somewhat of a leggings expert. I've been reviewing leggings on YouTube for 5+ years now, and I'm at the point where I can essentially just look at a pair of leggings online and know if they're going to work for me. Obviously there's certain things like sizing or any unforeseen things like a lack of stretch, but for the most part I can tell if a legging is going to be good or not. And I'm going to be imparting some of those tips on you today, and also just giving you some pointers at things to look at to see if a legging is good quality, bad quality, etc. Leggings have progressed so much, honestly, in the past 10 years alone. We went from having unflattering cotton leggings that were super sheer, minimal stretch, almost a guaranteed camel toe situation, now to having super flattering leggings with no front seams, no camel problems, flattering seams in the back to enhance your glutes, leggings that stay up well, and you just do not need to settle for leggings that do not flatter your body anymore. There are flattering leggings at every price point. So I am going to be giving a few little suggestions today, but obviously everyone's preferences are different, so going to do my best to give a lot of options. If you do find this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. And without further ado, let's get into it. So first we're going to start off with things that we should always look for in our leggings. Number one, you're always going to want to have a gusset. So what is a gusset? So a gusset is an absolutely essential thing for leggings. I tried to look in my collection and I actually do not have any leggings without a gusset anymore, but a gusset really took leggings from being a two-dimensional thing to a three-dimensional thing that could actually fit the contours of your body. I'll insert a photo of a legging without a gusset, but essentially before gussets existed, all the seams of a legging going up the sides of the leg and the front and the back all came down to a single point. And having all of those seams come to that single point means that whenever you moved in your leggings, you were getting a lot of strain in the crotch area, which can lead to discomfort and camel toe. Then we bring in a gusset, and there are multiple types of gussets that we will go over, but a gusset is this little almost diamond, triangle, elongated area of fabric that's inserted into the seams here, and this allows the strain of the fabric when you're moving to be redistributed and brought a little bit away from the crotch. So again, you're not getting that discomfort in those areas, and this also helps prevent camel toe. It doesn't always 100% get rid of it, but it really increases the functionality of leggings because a gusset allows you to move with a lot less discomfort. Oftentimes you also will find gussets that have 2 layers of lining, so if you're a woman and you have a little bit of, moisture down there, the extra layers kind of just take care of that. So we have 3 main types of gussets that I see. Honestly, they all come down to really personal preference. I don't really find that one works much better than the others, but you are going to want to look for a legging with a gusset because the ones without it tend to be a cheaper construction. So this is the first rendition of a gusset that I had seen. This is a triangle gusset. It brings those 3 points together. I often like a triangle gusset because usually it provides enough of the redistribution of forces, but it's not very visible, so it stays pretty hidden. This is what I call a slightly extended gusset. You can see it's more than that triangle. It goes slightly more down the leg in this kind of oblong shape here. This kind of gusset tends to be very comfortable, but sometimes they can be seen a little bit from the front, which I don't like, so it really depends on the legging. And then lastly, we have the super extended gusset. If you've ever seen a pair of Lululemon Aligns, that is what these are. You can see that gusset literally goes down almost the entire length of the legging. So I think that is a little bit excessive and unnecessary. It is just kind of a key feature of the Lululemon Aligns. I'm not seeing this as often anymore, but those are all considered gussets. The second essential thing you're going to want to look for in your leggings is when looking at the legging seams, you're going to want to make sure you're choosing a legging with a flat lock seam, not a traditional seam. A flat lock seam ensures that the 2 pieces of fabric are going to stick together, and it also doesn't have a little layer of that fabric poking in, which can create a little bit of bulkiness to the fabric, as well as irritating your skin and not lasting as long. So a flat lock seam looks like this. So these are those Lululemon Align leggings. This is the flat lock seam. It may also be a little bit thinner like this, but essentially when you turn your leggings inside out on a flat lock seam, you're just going to see that seam on the inside. But if you're looking at a legging that does not have a flat lock seam, again, this is not very common on most high-end legging brands. These are the V1 Gymshark Whitney Simmons leggings. This is what those regular seams look like from the outside. You don't see those lines of stitching. And then when you flip them inside out, you get these bulky pieces of fabric that can kind of stick into the skin, cause irritation. And these seams often do not last as long. We can see, I've only worn these a handful of times, but you can see where these seams seam is actually starting to come undone a little bit just because it's not that flat lock type seam. Next, let's go over some legging preferences to choose from. First of all, we're gonna decide if you are more of a no front seam type of girl or a front seam girly. This used to not be something to choose, but as of the last 5 years or so, there are a ton of leggings now that have come out that do not have that front rise seam that is often the culprit of camel toe. Again, these are my OG Lululemon Align leggings, and they have a seam that goes from that gusset to the waistband in the front. And this is a pair from Buff Bunny, and you can see there is no seam that goes up the front. For me, I'm always wearing a no front seam legging. I don't wear front seams anymore, but it really all just depends on your anatomy down there and your preferences. For me, a front seam is always going to settle in and cause that camel toe, that discomfort. So here are a couple reasons you may choose a no front seam legging. If you are someone who likes to pull your leggings up a lot to kind of gather the fabric around the glutes and make them super flattering back there, you're going to want to go with a no front seam, because if you do that with a front seam legging, you're going to put a lot of strain in that front seam and it's going to find somewhere to go. Number two, if your anatomy simply does not tolerate a front seam, not everyone can handle a front seam. Everyone's a little bit different down there. For me, front seam is just an absolute no. It's not even just about appearances, it can be pretty uncomfortable too. A no front seam legging may be a little bit more comfortable to move in. It's one less seam to cause that strain down there in the crotch, kind of like what we talked about with the gusset. You don't really have to worry if you're doing a lot of movement, if there's that extra seam to kind of go up where you don't want it. If you're going commando, you don't have that extra layer of fabric to prevent that front seam from settling in. I did a poll on my Instagram stories asking why people went for front seam versus no front seam a while ago, and my biggest poll responses, obviously first is no camel. Two, they feel like not having the front seam drew less attention to the crotch area, and a lot of people felt like having no front seam looked like higher quality. Generally, it is a little bit more expensive for brands to create a legging without a front seam, so that definitely could be true. Next, we'll go over some reasons why you may pick a front seam. First, if your anatomy just doesn't cause that front seam to settle in, you may want to go with a legging that has a front seam. Two, if you don't like that Barbie crotch look, some people look very smooth and seamless in a no front seam, but other people can kind of create, instead of having a camel, you have more of a Barbie crotch, kind of more attention drawn to that V area. A lot of people find having that front seam disguises a little bit more in the lower tummy area. If you're someone who carries a little bit more weight in the lower tummy, that front seam can kind of distract from that. And it can almost provide a little bit more support in the tummy area. Wherever you have a seam, there's going to be a little bit more tension in the fabric. If you've ever tried like a pocket legging compared to a regular legging, the legging tends to be a little bit more compressive with the pocket leggings because of all those extra seams. So having that seam there just creates the tiniest bit more tension in that belly area and can give you a little bit more lower tummy control. So other responses I got, some women who have C-section scars feel like the front seam helps hide that a little bit better too. And many people preferred the front seam legging because they felt like it just stayed in place a little bit more than a no front seam legging. I definitely agree, a no front seam legging is going to have something up in the waistband area to make sure the leggings stay up and not slide down, but I still think it's possible. And I have also seen some brands say that it requires a lot less fabric and creates less waste to make a legging with a front seam. So if sustainability is something that is a factor for you, a front seam may be more sustainable. Again, I've only ever heard one brand saying that. Also, a front seam legging tends to hide the gusset more. If I ever see a gusset in a legging, it's usually a no front seam legging. The next thing to choose for your leggings is, are you going to go with a seamless legging or a regular seamed legging? And this is different than front seam versus no front seam. So most leggings that you see are going to be just regular seamed leggings, but a seamless legging, they can still have seams. I know it's confusing. You think if it's seamless, why would it have seams? But seamless actually refers to the way that the leggings are made. The fabric is knit together basically in tubes instead of having a flat piece of fabric that is then sewn together. So this is a seamless legging, and the fabric actually comes out in these little tubes or columns. With seamless leggings, there are a couple different types of seamless leggings. You can have a really dense, durable type fabric, but generally I find that seamless leggings are going to be your stretchiest legging. For me, I like both seamless and regular style leggings, just depending on the occasion. If you're someone who likes a traditional performance fabric or a super soft brush fabric, which we will discuss next, you're going to want to go with a regular legging. But if you're looking for the stretchiest possible option, often a lot of waistband compression, you can go for a seamless type legging. Depending on the fabric that you get in a seamless legging, some of them can be a little bit itchy, so you're going to want to look for a softer seamless. For me, they stay put better than regular leggings. The waistbands hold them in place really well. They contour every curve. They also tend to have the best scrunch options in the back. But again, for the same reason why some people people don't pick no front seam leggings, you can get a lot of Barbie crotch in a seamless legging. For me, something like a navigation style seamless, those give me a lot of Barbie crotch, but I get less in something like an Alphalete Amplify seamless. Some of my personal favorite seamless leggings have always been the Alphalete Amplify leggings, the Buff Bunny Shape seamless, and there are some affordable options on Amazon as well. Brands like Success on Amazon have a really nice, dense, durable seamless, and then Arola also makes good seamless leggings on Amazon as well. All right, next let's talk about legging materials, how to pick the best material for your preferences. There are mainly two types of non-seamless legging materials. You're going to have a brushed material or a sleek performance. These are terms I often use in my videos, so we're gonna get into the details here. So when a legging is brushed, you have a base material of leggings, and then it's a treatment added to the top of the fabric, and this gives them that super soft, almost fuzzy hand feel. So this is the classic Lululemon Align feel. Back when everyone was comparing leggings to Lululemon Aligns, some people are still doing that. It's been a while. It's a little bit outdated if you ask me. But basically they were saying any legging that was brushed was a Lululemon Align dupe. Now that brushed leggings are a lot more common, we're not hearing that anymore. But if you look up close at a legging, this is what a brushed legging looks like. So you can see there's a little bit of almost fuzziness to the fabric, and it's very soft. So not all brushed leggings have pilling issues anymore. There are a lot of really good brushed fabrics that don't have that problem. And then a performance fabric is your typical legging that sometimes can be a little bit more shiny in appearance, and it has more of a sleek, cool feel to it. So the legging almost feels a little bit cooler when you hold on to it. So this is a sleek performance legging. You don't see that same level of fuzziness to the fabric. This legging is from Buff Bunny. It's the airbrush fabric. It's actually more of a matte performance, but it still has that sleek feel. There is also a third type of legging, which is just a non-brushed legging. It's the same kind of composition as a regular brushed legging, but they didn't add that brushed layer to it. I don't see these as often anymore. I always struggled to define this type of legging because it's not brushed, it's not performance. This type of legging can still collect pet fur and can still pill, but then it's just not as soft as a brushed legging. So again, generally we're seeing less of these. I see these most often in more affordable brands because they are a little bit cheaper. Some reasons why you may choose a brushed legging. Really, if being a soft, stretchy, naked feel is the most important thing to you, you're gonna wanna choose a brushed legging. These are maximum comfort, super soft. I also feel like especially when the legging is brushed on the inside of the fabric as well, the legging has more grip and can stay on your body more. With a performance legging, because it is so sleek, unless there's a lot of compression to it, they can slide down. Brushed leggings can be a little bit more prone to pilling. It really depends on the fabric. For me, something like a Buff Bunny Newbury does not pill as much, but certain brushed fabrics do pill. They're often a little bit warmer, often a little bit more opaque and squat proof because that little extra layer of brushing provides a little bit more thickness to the fabric. So overall, if you're looking for ultra stretchy, ultra comfy, go brushed. For a performance legging, if you're looking for something that is, again, high performance, if you're doing a lot of running, a lot of high impact activities, you really want your legs to just slide right by each other. They're often a little bit less warm, so a little bit better for hotter climates. Performance leggings are pet fur resistant because they don't have that brush layer to kind of attract that fur. The fur just kind of slides right off. They are almost always less pill prone as well, so the fabrics tend to last a long time. They can be a little bit shiny depending on the fabric, and they can also slide down if they're not compressive enough in the waistband. So oftentimes you're going to look for something like a drawstring in these or a super compressive waist. So overall, if you're looking for something high performance, pet fur resistant, and more cooling, go performance. Lastly, let's talk legging composition. So most leggings are either going to be a nylon spandex blend or a polyester spandex blend. You're going to look for around 12 to 30% spandex. Personally, I find nylon spandex tends to be a little bit more lightweight, stretchy, naked feel, so that tends to be my preference. And a polyester spandex tends to be a little bit more structured. So we often see that more in performance leggings. There's a lot more nuance to the legging composition than just the percentages. Just because you see two fabrics that are the exact same fabric composition does not mean they're the same fabric. They can still feel very different. So just keep that in mind. The next thing we're going to look at with our leggings is the waistband placement. So the way the waistband sits can not only impact the tummy control in the front, but it can also impact how flattering it is on your glutes in the back. So a lot of this also depends on your anatomy, but at the very least in the back, you're going to want to make sure the waistband seam of the legging goes above your glutes. So you want it to kind of sit right around where your hip bone is. This allows your glutes to just have their flare moment and not have the legging cut off in the middle. If the seam goes across your glutes, it's going to make your glutes look smaller. But you also don't want the seam to be so high above the glutes that it's way over the hip bones and then again starts making them look smaller yet again. So you kind of have to look for that sweet spot. And there are leggings that just kind of go flat across the waistband in the back. These go ever so slightly, tapered ever so slightly, but really not enough to really make a difference. Or there are a lot of leggings these days that now have this curved glute seam in the back that really enhances the glutes and gives a little bit more roundness to the shape. Then when looking at the front of a waistband, if tummy control is not something that you're looking for, you really can choose any waistband in the front. But if you do want tummy control, you're going to want to look for a legging with a waistband that goes down a little bit further in the front. So sometimes leggings will kind of dip down in the front and give you that tummy control. Then you're going to look at the rise height of the legging. So generally there's about 3 rise heights. You can have a legging that hits above your natural waist, which is going to be an ultra high rise. You could have a legging that hits right at the smallest point of your waist, usually covering the belly button, and that is a high rise. And then a mid rise is a little bit below the belly button. There's also low rise, but those are just kind of dangerous for the gym. Like if it's a true low rise, then you're going to be exposing things in the back. So if you're someone who carries maybe a little bit more weight in the torso area and tends to have an issue with waistbands rolling, or you tend to be a shorter torso, you may want to go for a slightly lower rise. If you do carry more weight in the torso area, sometimes an ultra high rise can just kind of roll right down. Personally, I have quite a long torso, so I can kind of do any of them. I think my preference currently is just a regular high rise. Waistband rolling also just tends to be an issue of the waistband height more than anything else. So if something's rolling a lot on you, it may just be too high of a rise. Okay, next, what are we going to look for in the back of the leggings? Like we just discussed, we do want the waistband to be at least around the hip bones, not too low, not too high. And if you go with something there that at least is just kind of flat across or maybe a little bit curved, that's still going to be flattering. If you want something a little bit more flattering, you can go for a legging that has a curved glute seam. Again, this is just going to add some roundness to the glutes, enhance them a little bit. If you want something a little bit more than that, you can go for a legging with a hidden scrunch. This is one of my favorite things right now because from the back, the leggings look like there's really not too much going on. The seams are still flattering, but it's nothing too in your face. But you have an elastic that goes up the back rise seam of the legging that just kind of contours the glutes a little bit more and gives you a little bit more glute separation, so you're not getting so much of a unibutt look. These are the Petula Sierra leggings. I think they have a great hidden scrunch. Some other good hidden scrunch leggings are the Camo Fitness Featherlight leggings, and Paragon also has a good one. This is their Sculpt Seam Plus. I like this better than their regular Sculpt Seam. It looks more scrunched here, but when they're on, it all stretches out and then just gives kind of that same glute separation. I would avoid the traditional scrunched leggings, the ones that look super scrunched like this, because they tend to be very stiff. So they're not as stretchy and you get a lot of that gathering in the back, which can just kind of draw some like weird attention. And then for the back of your seamless leggings, there's a couple options as well. So a traditional seamless legging will have no seams up the back. So this is the back of the legging and there's nothing to separate the glutes. So you can get very much a unibutt look and just can not be the most flattering. So this is option 1. These are some super old Tala leggings. Option 2 is a scrunch seamless. Again, these are the Alphalete Amplify leggings. They have a scrunch up the back rise. The scrunch goes between your glutes and you gather the fabric around. That scrunch kind of disappears and you're left with a very much defined two-cheek moment. Some people don't like this scrunch. One, because it can be a little bit stiff at times. Once you get used to wearing these, you really won't feel it at all, but sometimes when you squat, you do feel like, you know, there's a little bit of a wedgie moment. And sometimes the scrunch can look a little bit shiny too, so it doesn't always disappear. Then option 3 is having a short back rise seam. We've seen these in the Buff Bunny Shape Seamless. So instead of having a scrunch, the back rise is actually just shortened. So it works the same as a scrunch. You gather the fabric around the glutes and pull that seam in between your cheeks. So you're still getting full glute separation, but you don't have that little shiny seam. So again, these are the Buff Bunny Shape Seamless. The only other leggings that I have with this are the Lazuli V-Seam leggings. Next, there are a couple options for the top of the leggings. So not so much the waistband, but the very top. So this is my personal preference, but you can go with a waistband that is just a double thickness of the fabric and has no band at the top to restrict you. Occasionally people look for a little bit more support up top, something that really prevents their leggings from sliding down. For me, if you have the right legging, a legging with this waistband won't slide. But if you're looking for something with a little bit more hold, you may want to choose a legging with a little band at the top. So a top band is just a small elastic that goes at the top of a legging, but this keeps everything nice and snug at the top of the legging so that hopefully the legging does not slide down. The drawback of this is it can give you a little bit of a muffin top effect. It can kind of squeeze right in at your waist and be a little bit uncomfortable. And the next option for maximum amount of sliding prevention is you can have a legging with a drawstring. So there are leggings with these elasticized loop drawstrings. These are the Buff Bunny Wicked leggings, but there are other leggings like the Lululemon Fast and Free, I believe, that have this. A lot of performance leggings will have this little drawstring. So that's option one. But again, these little drawstrings tend to be at the top of the waistband, and that can again cause that kind of muffin top effect. Another type of drawstring to look for is a drawstring that goes in the middle of the waistband like this. So it still allows you to prevent having that little top band that cuts in right at the top of the waist, but the drawstring still holds the leggings up. These are the Viore Daily leggings, but I know PopFlex also has a legging that does this as well. Next, let's talk cellulite coverage. So if cellulite coverage is a priority for you and your leggings, first of all, dark leggings are always going to be better than light. You're going to want to go for a thicker material. The super thin naked feel leggings are just not going to be as good at disguising cellulite. And the best things for disguising cellulite are going to be pattern leggings, ribbed textures, and just textured leggings in general. So if you have a legging with a really strong marl to the fabric, you see like all these little stripes, this can help. Anything with a super busy pattern helps disguise anything underneath. This legging is kind of a jacquard textured fabric, and I had to pull these out of my collection as well, but this legging has quite a bit of texture as well. And this one does not have a gusset. We finally found one without a gusset. I will have already inserted a photo, but you can see all four seams just come to a point, no gusset. Next, let's talk compression. So generally performance leggings are going to be the most compressive, and brushed leggings, because that brushed effect adds a little bit of stretchiness to the legging, they tend to be a little bit less compressive, but it also depends on sizing. If you are a little bit big for a size, you're going to feel more compression than if you're at the smaller end of a size. So sometimes you can play around with sizing, size up or down depending on your compression preferences. Size down for more compression, size up for less compression. If you're someone who likes to be really held in and almost just feel hugged, you're going to want to look for a more compressive legging, which means you'll probably want to go more the performance legging route. But if you're someone who just wants your legging to just lay on top of the skin and just not squeeze you in any sort of way, if you're looking for something super, super low compression, the Petula Bear leggings are just so comfortable. They're such a naked feel. And for me, whenever I'm feeling a little bit bloated and I just don't want anything squeezing me, this is what I'm reaching for. If you are someone who likes a lot of waistband compression specifically, often going for a seamless legging is good because their waistbands tend to be very compressive and really hold you in. Or some other things to look for compression in the waist is you can look for a legging with a bonded style waistband. This is something that I've been seeing Buff Bunny do as of recently, where they actually glue the two pieces of the legging together on the waistband. It just creates this really smooth, compressive waistband that also helps the legging stay up really well. You can look for a legging with a waistband with a layer of mesh in it. These are the Paragon Rex Stretch leggings. They have that mesh layer that really just allows for a little bit more compression in the waistband. And I believe Hilara recently came out with a pair of tummy control leggings with a similar mesh insert. Next, we're going to be talking about choosing the right size and length for you. First, let's go over legging length. So generally a full length legging is about 26 to 28 inches for the inseam, and a 7/8 legging is anywhere from like 23 to 25 inches. But again, a true 7/8 length is what is 7/8 on your body. Just brands tend to label things this way. Personally, I tend to wear a 7/8 length more often than not because I am tall, I'm 5'9", and not all brands come out with 28-inch inseams, so that would be best for me. There are some other factors that go into the length of a legging, like the stretch of a legging. Oftentimes, seamless leggings are more of a 25-inch inseam, but they have so much vertical stretch that you can actually stretch them to be full length on you. So how do you know what length of legging is best for you? First of all, you can just simply look up a pair of leggings that you like the length. Oftentimes they will list the inseam on the website, or you can just take one of these little garment measuring tapes. My mom used to sew, so I always had one of these around, and I'm always measuring inseams on things because that's what I do. But these are pretty cheap just to get online. I believe I got this one on Amazon. I will link it. But you can just measure the inseam of any item that you like the length of. And when measuring the inseam, you're going to want to measure from the center of the gusset. So not all leggings have a front seam, so you can't always measure from that center seam. So you go from the middle of the gusset all the way down the leg, or you can measure your own inseam. You'll want to place the tape measure as high up into your inseam as you can, so at the tippy top of the inner thigh and down to where you want the legging to hit. It's often easier if you have someone to help you with this because when you're leaning over, the measuring tape can kind of bunch up and then it may not be as accurate, but that will be your inseam. Not all brands come out with multiple inseams. Generally bigger brands like Athleta, Lululemon do, but Petula often comes out with a 26 and a 23 inch inseam. So for my really short girlies, Petula is often a good option. And then figuring out what size legging to get. So first of all, you're just going to want to look at the size chart that the brand provides. It'll usually be next to the area on the website where you're selecting a size. It'll just say size chart, or if you scroll all the way to the bottom of a website, there should be a size chart. And you're going to want to make sure that it's a size chart that is comparing actual measurements, not just height and weight, because I am tired of people thinking that height has like literally anything to do with your size. Height has to do with length, not your width. So don't trust anything that is going off of height and weight. That is not accurate. You want to go off of measurements. So the first thing you're going to want to measure is your waist. So you'll take your tape measure and measure across the smallest point of your waist. So basically you can go up to an area on your rib cage and just kind of go down until the tape measure kind of just sits at one spot. And then you're going to want the two ends to meet at a comfortable area. You don't want to squeeze too tight. You don't want it to be too loose. The next measurement, using those same principles, you're going to do your hip measurement, which is the widest point of your hips. So generally just right across the largest point of the glutes. It's not at the top of the hip bones or anything. This is the largest point. And those are generally the two main measurements. Thigh is generally not taken into account. If you don't quite fit into a size based on your waist and your hips, if your waist is in one area, your hips are in another size, I generally go off of the waist measurement because that's going to be the most obvious area. If the legging is too big, you're going to get a lot of gaping. If the legging is too small, you're going to feel really constricted. Then the hip area, if the legging has some stretch, will generally accommodate a larger hip or a smaller hip. I try to address this in all of my reviews, if you should size up or down if you're in between sizes, but again, I haven't reviewed everything in the whole world. Now that we have our leggings decided, how do we get our leggings on? This seems like something simple, but there is a good method to it. So you're going to want to pull them on just a little bit at a time. You don't want to be yanking the whole legging up and then having a lot of strain in any of the seams because that can damage the leggings over time. You're going to want to be careful if you have longer nails or any jewelry that may poke into the legging or cause any snags. When I used to have really long nails, I had to kind of pull my leggings up by like the sides of my fingers. If you have long nails, you probably already know. Then you want to bring a little bit of fabric up to the top of the leggings so that you've positioned them in a way that is comfortable. It's not pulling up in the crotch area too much, but you also don't have any bagginess in the crotch. Then something I think a lot of people forget sometimes is you're going to want to adjust the length of the legging as well. After you pull the legging up, sometimes the legs look like they're different lengths, but it's just the way the legging is sitting on your body. So you're going to want to adjust the legs to make sure they're all in the right area. Now, if you want to step it up a notch, you want to kind of enter gym baddie level, you can pull your leggings up just a little bit more. This is what I do most of the time. It also has other benefits though of making the leggings actually a little bit more squat proof. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to pull more of the leg fabric up around the glute area. So you pull them up the thigh, around to the back, and then you pull that back seam kind of up the glutes a little bit. This gives you a little bit more glute separation and just a little bit more flattering on the booty. This is going to work best with a seamless scrunch legging as well as no front seam leggings, because if you do this with a front seam legging, you may get some camel problems. And another side note, you can't do this if you're wearing a full coverage underwear. This is something you really have to be wearing a thong for, because if you're going to pull that fabric up the cheeks, you can't have the fabric of your underwear preventing that from happening. And if you need a gym underwear recommendation, the only underwear that I wear to the gym, honestly for the past like at least 2 years now, they're super cheap. Usually you can get them like $12 on Amazon. I'll link them down below. The brand is like OX Knee or something, but they have a nice bonded edge to them. They're almost like more lightweight mesh, and they're basically invisible under leggings, but they don't roll on the sides. I have like literally 15 to 20 pairs of them because I'm just always reaching for them. So I will link those down below, but those are my gym recommendation. So we're gonna do a little bonus section, as if this video isn't long enough, on flare leggings. leggings, because mostly we've been talking about regular, just slim fitting leggings, but for flare leggings, there are a couple more things to consider. If you want more of a relaxed, baggier style look, you're gonna wanna go for a more bootcut style flare, and that is when the flare happens at or above the knee. So you're gonna notice a little bit more fabric gathering at the knee and less of a dramatic slim flare. Leggings that come to mind when I think of this are the Camo Fitness flare leggings. Those are an affordable option, but they only come in one length, or the Alphalete Aura flares. These do come in multiple lengths and they are more of a boot cut flare. If you're looking for a sleeker look, you're going to want to look for a flare that flares below the knees. So you really get that slimming effect up until the knee or the top of the calf, and then they flare away. Flare leggings that do a good job of that. Honestly, my go-tos are always Buff Bunny flares. As a big calf girly, they never cling to my calves, but they still have that slim flare effect. And the Pop Flex flare leggings are also good at that. If you're a big calf girly like me, those two leggings I just recommended are still a nice sleek looking flare, but they don't cling to the calves. And you want a smaller flare that flares as low down as possible. You could do something like the Lululemon Align Mini Flare, or also Petula has some good flare options that flare a little bit lower down as well that personally don't work for me, but if you have a slimmer calf, they could look very cute and sleek. So that is everything. This video was so much longer than I thought it would be. I spent like all day filming this, and now I have a big mess of legging examples to clean up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful, informative, kind of goes over a lot of the things we discuss on this channel often. If you have any questions or future video ideas, make sure to comment down below. I wouldn't want to conclude the video without a Peach appearance, so Peach is here. She was taking a little nap. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!